Hello! Today we're going to start sitting, and you're going to need at least 2 blocks and a blanket or towel and a strap that's at least 8 feet long. We're going to create some spaciousness in the center of our body. So I'd like you to start by coming into Baddha Konasana and sit on some height, either a block or blankets, and have 2 blocks next to you. So Baddha Konasana is the pose where you put the soles of your feet together and let your hips come out. And there's no variations whether you can do it with your feet. You can bring your feet together and hold them there, and notice that probably the knees will not go as far to the ground, and you might find some tension in your inner thighs, or you can just let the feet come apart, keeping the pinky toe side of the feet together. So I'd like you just to be there and notice how you feel. Some people love this pose, some people hate this pose. Of course, there's some people more neutral, but I really find the extremes. So you'll be able to gauge for yourself. Sit bones ground, encourage your spine to lengthen. Now, if you feel any tension at all in your inner thighs, or if your knees are up pretty high, go ahead and take the blocks and rest them there. So we want to be in a position where we are not feeling a sensation of stretch. There might be a sensation of shifting, of change, but not stretch. Because this is an area that to release it, you actually sometimes, or very often, need to allow it to be supported so it can relax and then let go. Sometimes when you stretch these areas, they actually just hang on for dear life. All right, so Baddha Konasana, this is one of the few positions that if you are to do a yoga position, you can eat in this position because there's a lot of space for the food to go and for all the digestive processes to happen. So let's take a moment to close your eyes, sit bones ground, spine lengthen, and notice that you're breathing. Just notice that you're breathing. Then, rest your hands on your lower belly and gently guide your breath. So the inhalation is a little bit of nice rounding into the belly. Exhalation, sit bones ground. Getting that grounding down to lift up. Keep coming back to your breath. All right, and then let your eyes open. And take out the blocks and just check and notice if there's any shift, how it feels. So I do tend to have, you may see, I have a pretty strong external rotation. Pretty strong in the sense that I have a lot of mobility in this external rotation. But I do want to let you know that for those of you who read my blog, my Travels with Tricky Trikonasana, there was a time, not that long ago, a few years ago, where this was incredibly difficult and painful in my inner thighs. And especially one side. I'm not forgetting which one. I think the right side, yeah. It was stuck here and it just couldn't release. So it wasn't about the shape of my bone, it was about the softer tissue. So there's 2 main components on the biomechanical level for the ability to do this pose. One is how your thigh bone literally goes into the hip socket, into the acetabulum. The shape of the thigh bone, the shape of the acetabulum creates this angle. And the other is the soft tissues around it, muscles, ligaments, bone, fascia, sorry, not bone, but fascia. All of those things also affect it. So sometimes it can be the bone, sometimes it's a soft tissue. And if you're wondering about bone, it can change, but it takes a long time. It took a long time to develop these bones in this shape. So it also takes a while to change the shape of the bone. Soft tissue doesn't take as long. Okay, so from here, go ahead and bring your knees together and take your feet out in front, Upavista Konasana, so which is wide-legged seated posture. So Upavista Konasana is not the furthest you can take your legs, but you want to have your thighs in line with the hip joint. So sense of the head of the thigh bone coming into the acetabulum, again, the hip joint. Let's hold here for a moment. Bring your fingertips down, encourage your spine to lengthen. And just play a little bit with a little hinging forward. So when we hinge forward, the sit bones go back. The lower back keeps its lumbar curve. We just create a little hinge forward. No rounding of the spine. Just keep hinging until it feels like that's as far as I'm going to hinge right now. Reach through your heels. Take your time. Keep your hands behind your back for now. Or behind, backwards, not out in front between the legs. All right, and then come back up. And bend your knees. And we're going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana. So often this pose is done at the end of class, but I want to really create some space in this area today. So I want to do it at the beginning. And some of you may know it better as Queen's Pose. It's a great pose for digestion, great pose for elimination. It really gives the body a quality of releasing downward. So you're going to need a little height behind your back in front of your head and a strap. If you haven't done this before, pay attention to how to do it. If you've done it many times, I know some of you may have, go ahead and jump into it. So you take your bolster, blanket, beach towels. Have I told you why I have beach towels and not blankets? Because the blankets, if I keep them in a bin, they will just get moldy. So beach towels seem to work better. And I take them out every so often to go to the beach. All right, so you're going to fold up the blanket, the beach towel, and I'm going to do 2 of them. You can choose to have them skinny or wide. Today I'm going a little skinny because it's actually folding quite nicely. And then sit in front, not on top, but right in front of your blankets. And then come into Baddha Konasana, bring the soles of the feet together, and make a loop with the strap. Take the strap between the 2 rings, open it up, go up and over, you got a loop. Very important that the tail of the strap is in a position that it pulls towards your head. So take the strap over your head, so it goes behind your sacrum, and maneuver it so that small end of the strap is, when you pull it, you'll pull it towards your head. Now, from here, take the strap over the inside of your thighs, inside the knees, and then over your foot onto the pinky toe side of the foot. Once you get there, you tighten it. And don't have to tighten it as tight as it can go. Just tighten it so you feel a little snug. Some of you will come to a position where your heels are all the way by your pelvis, but you might have your heels a little further away. That's fine too. You sit in front of the blanket. Get your blocks and bring them under your knees so they're going to support your thighs. And then lift your sit bones a little bit, lengthen them towards your feet, and go ahead and lie on down. Once you lie down, either take a block under your head or roll the blankets over so you have a little pillow, so you have a downward movement. And of course, we don't want the ribs to be popping up, so you may want to be a little higher to make sure that those lower ribs are not popping up. I need like a 1/2 inch more height. So I'm going to get up. Oh, that's the challenge. I'm going to get very carefully and get another block. So I'm going to pay attention. I'm getting up, drawing my chin towards my chest, using my hands. If you're watching, you can notice it's one way to get out of this pose. Not the preferred way, but I didn't want to undo the strap. All right, so then to come back down, get yourself positioned. Take your arms by your side, palms facing up towards the ceiling. So the intention is for this pose to feel really good. If it does not, take a little time to maneuver yourself until it does. And then once you're here, bring your awareness to your breath. So for the purpose of the class, we're not going to stay here for an extreme amount of time, but this is a position that you could stay here for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, just gently guiding your breath. It's also a position you can stay here and just let your mind wander. Sometimes that can be better for some people than guided breath. And then if you want to explore a little what it's like not to take away the blocks, go ahead and do that. If you feel tension in the inner thighs, bring them back. Don't make any adjustments. Be here just for a few more breaths. Okay, and then to come out of the pose, ideally you have the tail of the strap with you, nearby, within reach, and you can just lift off one of the rings and the strap loosens. If that doesn't work for you, then very slowly draw your chin towards your chest, lift your head up, and maneuver it to loosen up the strap. And then bring your knees a little closer together, slip your foot out of the strap, roll over to your side, and then make your way up to sitting. And I think I may have just made a little noise on the microphone because I'm wearing this necklace, so I apologize for that. Take it off. All right, so make your way into Baddha Konasana again, soles of the feet together, and sit up on some height. And take notice, is it a little different than it was before? In general, how do you feel? Do you feel like you want to stay there a lot longer? Then go ahead and do that, either now or later. Okay, then go ahead and put the blankets off to the side. And I'll get them a little bit more out of the way. Come back into Baddha Konasana, have a strap within reach. Soles of the feet together. Again, if it's better for you to have the blocks under your thighs, please go ahead and put them there. Let's take a moment, spine lengthens. Breathe. And then go ahead and extend your right leg out to the side. Reach through the heel. Make sure you can see my foot. And take this turn from the belly over the right foot. Take your strap and unbuckle it, so take the loop out of the strap, and then swing the strap over your foot Press your foot into the strap, strap into the foot. Let's make this leg very active, and consider that you're moving from the back, the bottom of the leg out. Not from the quadriceps so much, but the bottom of the leg is pushing out into the heel. Quadriceps will engage a little, but make the effort from the back of the leg. Lengthening up with the spine. Just creating, again, space. Some more vertical space here. All right, and then release that. Bend the right knee. And second side. Take the left leg out to the side. Take the strap over your left foot. And reach from the back, bottom side of the leg, from the hamstring. Press the foot into the strap, strap into the foot. Open up the spaces between your toes as you breathe. Long, active leg. Good. And then release that. Come back into Baddha Konasana. Baddha means bound. Kona is angle. Asana is a posture. So that's what this means. But you may see it's also known as cobbler's pose because the cobbler would have the shoe in between their feet and do their work here. Some people call it butterfly pose, especially I've seen kids do that and flutter. I don't recommend fluttering unless it feels great because it can create some tension in here. All right, from Baddha Konasana, wide-legged again, Upavista Konasana. Again, lengthen out from the bottom of the leg all the way out through the heels. Be on the front edge of your sit bones. And then on your exhalation, let's do a little twist from the belly to the right. Take your left hand in between the front of your legs. Right hand goes behind your back. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. Don't use the hands so much. Use the belly. One more inhalation. On the exhalation, unwind. And then second side. Spiraling to the left. Good. And then back to center. And bend your knees. Let's bring the feet together. Come to all fours. And take two of your blocks and have the blocks under your knees. Spread your fingers, hands under your shoulders, hips above your knees, and then let your belly relax. That's not so easy. Can you just let it go? Ah. Okay, and then take that into a cow tilt. Begin to lift your sit bones. Let that reverberate all along your spine till you lift your head. Nice breath into the rib cage. And your next exhalation, let's come towards a cow tilt. Draw your sit bones down. Arch your back up, a little bit of the spine at a time, getting into the whole spine. Hold that here. As you exhale, you can let your belly release, which might mean actually on the exhalation the belly lifts up a little, a sense of hollowing. And let's go back and forth. Inhale. Let your belly hang out. Open up the chest. Lift your head. Exhale. At your own pace. If you feel you want to go a little faster, by all means do so. All right, and then back to neutral. Neutral, tuck your toes under, puppy pose. Right hand forward, left hand forward. Exhale, lean back. Breathe. Extra balance practice. Take your feet off the floor. Good. All right, and then instead of child's pose, just walk, shift your hips back towards your heels and come up to sitting on your heels. If you can, comfortably tuck your toes under. Go ahead and do that. If not, skip that part. Good. And then from here, lift your knees up. We're going to a forward bend. If you're not forward bending today, stay in the squat. Otherwise, bring your belly towards your thighs, bring your heels to the ground, and slowly move towards straightening your legs. Opening up the backs of the legs. Rock your hips a little forward and back. Good. And then come back down towards the ground. As you lower down, you might lift your heels. You might not. But let's all meet here in a squat type position. If squatting is not working for you flat on the floor, then take the blocks under your heels. So that would be like this. And I want you to actually take your feet a little bit wider than hips distance. So here it is on the blocks. Here it is off the blocks. Bring your palms together and rock a little side to side. And maybe a little circle. Whee! And then switch directions. And release onto the floor. Good. Find your strap. Lie down on your back. And just have the strap nearby and a block nearby. We won't use them quite yet, but let's find them first. If you need something under your head when you lie down, your eyes are not straight up, put a lift under your head. Take a nice inhalation. On your exhalation, bring your right knee up, and let's circle the right knee. And today, let's make the circles big. We often do this small. You might use your hand for a little guidance, but mostly nice big circles. And then switch directions. Okay, and then left side. Bring the knee up and circle. And switch directions. And then release that. Bring your right knee again in towards your chest. Externally rotate it a little bit. Take your right hand to the back of your right thigh. Press your hand into the thigh and move towards straightening the leg and then bending it again. So you're not going to straighten it all the way. Just move in that direction. I'd like you to really consider the movement from the back of the thigh as you do this. Pelvis otherwise is pretty stable. It's just the leg out to the side, a little bending and straightening. Good. And then release and repeat on the left side. Hand in the back of the thigh, straighten and bend. I find this feels really good on the lower back, this angled position of the thigh. And then release. Then find your strap and get a block. So you don't need the block quite yet. We're going to come to a variation of Supta Padangusthasana 2. Bring your right knee into your chest. Take the foot on up, the strap on the ball of the foot, and externally rotate the leg, so from the thigh bone, and then slowly take your right leg to the right, the left knee to the left. And actually here, you can choose to take the block under your thigh. We do want to keep the pelvis even here. So in this pose, you're not leaning to the right. Gentle opening in the hip socket, widening across the center of your body. And then to come up, bend your right knee. And then bring it back up. Whoops, someone surprised me. All right, go ahead and release. And sorry about that jolt. Go ahead, come over to the second side. Someone just came by to bring me a package. Second side. So go ahead and bring your left knee into your chest. Take the strap around your left foot. Have the block right to the outside of the left thigh, and externally rotate your left leg. Right leg, bend, right knee goes out to the right, left leg to the left. So you may notice I'm not trying to get to the end point of flexibility, just taking some time to feel this shape. I feel a little tension, release of tension in the inner thigh. Good. And then come up by bending your left knee, bringing it back up, and release. And go back to the right side, and this time keep the opposite leg straight. So go ahead and start with both legs straight, bend your right knee into your chest, take the strap around your right foot, extend the right leg, classic Supta Padangusthasana 2. Take the block to the outside of the hip, externally rotate the leg, and take your right leg out to the right. Let your left leg be relaxed. So not exactly classic. Often in the yoga positions, the straight leg is engaged. But for today, I'd like you to have the left leg relaxed. Any hand position for the strap today that works for you. And if you find that, maybe there's more space that you want to move into, you can remove the block. If you find you might reach your big toe and it feels good, go ahead and do that. Left arm can go out to the side, breathing. And then while you're here, a few more breaths. Reach from the back of the leg into the strap or into your hand. All right, and then to come out of the pose, bend the right knee and bring it back to center. I like bending the knee because lifting the leg can put a lot of strain on the inner thigh, which we're not working on. That's kind of strengthening aspect right now. Okay, second side. Turn around if you don't have space, otherwise stay where you are. And bring the left knee in towards your chest. Take the strap around your left foot, extend your left leg up and away. Externally rotate the left leg, take it out to the side. Using a block or not, your choice. One thing to pay attention to, especially if you are fairly flexible in this, be careful that the knee and the foot stay in line with each other. So you don't want extreme external rotation here. Most importantly, of course, you're breathing. Find the back of the leg, lengthen from there. Again, maybe reach for your big toe, maybe not. Right arm off to the side, so there's definitely a twist in this pose. Good. And then to release, bend your left knee, come back to center, come back on up. Put the strap off to the side and take your right ankle over your left thigh, bring your left knee in towards your chest. And not the full extent, because I don't want to go into full flexion here, but just enough so that you can circle the left thigh, go in a little bit different directions, and circle the other direction. Then just for fun, can you circle it? Can you make it an 8? The movement of the left thigh, can it be like an 8, like an infinity sign? Interesting. Try it the other direction. And then release the left foot on the ground, extend the right leg up, take your arm on the back of the thigh, give it a nice pat. And then release. Same thing, other side. Left ankle over the right thigh, right knee in towards your chest. And circle the right thigh. Brings the hip bone into different angles. And switch directions. And then try the drawing an 8 again. This one's new for me. I've never done this before. Finding it very interesting, of course. Switch directions of that 8. And then release. And time for a little tetrasana. Move your arms and legs around different directions. You can move the torso up too, like you're floating in nice warm water, going different directions. Okay, so the next thing is not for everybody. You're going to gauge if it is for you. I'm going to grab a block and I'm going to face backwards. I'm going to take, you might not be able to see my head. I can't tell. Okay, this is a funny angle. I will definitely admit that. Take the block, place it under your sacrum, bring your knees off towards your chest and maybe stay here. Next step is to take your legs up. If this does not feel good on your back or if you cannot straighten your legs, keep your knees bent and you'll just get the benefits. You get the benefits of inverting. Otherwise, legs come up and then begin to take your legs apart. Reach through your heels. Just a few breaths here. If you'd like to place your hands on the outer thighs for support, please do so. Breathe. And then bring the soles of your feet together. Baddha Konasana. Take your legs up. Take them out to the side. Bring the knees together. And just go back and forth a few times. If there's one position you want to stay in, you can explore that one. Or you can switch directions. Bend the knees, take the knees wide, take the legs wide, bring the legs together. No straining here, please. Okay, and then go ahead and release. Place your feet on the floor. Release the block. Roll over to your side. Come onto your hands and knees, and a few more cat and cow tilts. This time without the extra blocks. Just draw your sit bones down, arch your back up, let your head release, and go the other direction. Okay, and then from here, either puppy pose or downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees up, hips back, move towards straightening your legs. Press the backs of the thighs back. Let your spine be nice and long. And then walk your feet forward between your hands. And slowly roll up. If rolling up is not good for you, if you have osteoporosis, come up with a flat back. All right, once you're here, roll your shoulders a few times, up and around. Making it to standing. Have your feet hips distance apart. Let's find mountain pose. Hips over heels, arms by your side. Getting warmer. It was raining earlier. Feet grounding, spine lengthening. Just encouraging spaciousness in the center of your body. All right, and then grab your 2 blocks and bring them out in front. And big asana time. Legs wide, arms wide. From the space between your shoulder blades, reach nice and long. Let's come into cactus. Turn to the right, elbow in line with the shoulder. Back to center. Turn to the left, elbow in line with the shoulder. Back to center, hands on your hips. Hinge forward, hands on the blocks. Lengthen your spine. Reach the blocks forward. Breathe. Walk the blocks back. Keep the blocks right under your shoulders. And then go ahead and bend your right knee. Keep the left outer edge of the left foot on the ground, so you're getting a little bit more length in the inner thigh. Come back up, and second side. Bend the left knee. Come back up, and again, back to the right. Now, there's 2 ways you can go side to side. One I'm doing now, you might see that my hips go up and down, which is actually the one I want us to do right now. The other way is bending the knees, moving from the knees, and the hips don't go up and down. But for now, let's do the one where the hips go up and down, going side to side. And then go ahead and turn your left leg in, turn your right leg out, walk your way into a lunge. Reach long through the back heel, lengthen the spine. And we're going to come back the other way, turning the feet as you walk the blocks. Long reach through the back heel. And then come back to center, turn your left leg in. Walk your feet a little closer together. And then make your way down to the floor into a squat. Okay, and if squatting doesn't work, join us in cross-legged. Join me in cross-legged. In the squat, bring your palms together, rock a little side to side. So this is a wide-legged squat. You can always have something under your heels. And then circle a little. And then switch directions. That's it. Come to a quieter, centered spot. Feel your heels rooting down and reach your tailbone back. You won't see me do a lot of movement here, but reach the tailbone back. or really the sit bones back. All right, and then make your way onto the floor. Come into cross-legged, right leg in front of the left. Have some height if that's helpful for you. I'm going to get into the belly a little bit more with a twist. And with this twist, I'd like you to really get the movement from the torso muscles, not from the arms. So on their exhalation, let's keep the hands where they are. Begin to spiral. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. Notice what's happening to your left sit bone. Is it coming off the ground? Is it changing its sense of rootedness? Keep the left sit bone really rooted. And then lift your hands and let the hands be part of the pose, but don't take them on to any surface yet. So maybe some of the muscles connected with the arms can be engaged, but don't use the hands to pull. Keep that left sit bone down. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. Include the center of your spine, your neck. And then when you get to your maximum, take your left hand onto the right knee, right hand behind the back. And then use a hand to draw you a little more deeply into the twist. One more inhalation here. On the exhalation, unwind. Come back to center. And switch across of your legs. Sit bones ground, spine lengthen. On your exhalation, spiral to the left, using the muscles of the torso. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, spiral. Take the arms with you now. Don't place them down yet. All right, and then right hand on the left knee, left hand behind your back. One more inhalation, and then go ahead, unwind. And Upavista Konasana, legs wide. Reach through the heels, and let's play with the hinging now. Keeping your lower back extend. Lower back in nice length, so no rounding. We're not doing this, so you might need some height. Begin to hinge forward. Gauge how you feel right now. Take your time. Maybe the hands come down, maybe not. So this pose is actually in many ways very different than Baddha Konasana, very different than the pose with the soles of the feet together. Both good, but just different. Come back on up, right? Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, different posture. Hold on to the feet or hold on to your ankles. And then bring your knees up. Take your feet out in front. From here, we're going to transition to standing. If you want a nice little challenge, come to cross-legged. And from cross-legged, press down with your feet to come up. Otherwise, find another way to get there, to standing. Have your two blocks out in front. And big asana. Take your legs wide, arms wide. Take up a lot of space again. Roll your arms so your palms face up towards the ceiling. Take your arms up a little higher. Reach out through the fingertips. Then bring your hands to your hips. Turn your left leg in from the thigh bone. Turn your right leg out. Bend the front knee a little bit. And then straighten it again. And then bend it a little more. Keep that outer edge of the back foot on the ground. Bending and straightening. Maybe each time you go a little bit more till you find that sweet spot of being. What is that sweet spot of being? It's a new term I just came up with. The sweet spot of being in warrior two legs. And then the next time, hold the posture. Keep that outer edge of the back foot down. Take your arms on up. Look out over your right arm. Breathe. And then come back on up. I am finding this mat very slippery, so I am going to get rid of the mat as you transition to the other side. Go ahead, right leg in, left leg out. Isn't it great? I can just throw things off camera. Left leg in, right leg out. Right leg in, left leg out. Bending and straightening a few times. Oh yeah, much better, much more stable. Sometimes mats are overrated. And then hold the posture. Having a nice sense of spaciousness in the center of the body. Outer edge of the left foot, rooting down. And come back up. Hands to the hips. Go back over to the first side. Left leg in, right leg up. Out. And let's come into side angle. Parsvakonasana. Start by bending the front knee. Take your left hand behind your back. Lift the right arm on up. Get a lot of length. And then take your forearm onto your thigh. Press the thigh. Forearm into the thigh. Find the twist. So once you take a little time, find the twist from the belly. Opening up. And then left arm comes up and over. Find that outer edge of the back foot. And then root down with the back leg. Inhale, come up. We're going to do that same side again. If you want to go a little bit lower, take one of your blocks and put it by the pinky toe side of your right foot. Inhale, come up. Exhale, bend the front knee. Take your hand either to your forearm, your leg, or to the block, up and over. Then take a moment. Bring your left hand to your belly and really check that you're getting that twist from the belly and up and above. And then use that back leg to come up. Maybe take the block with you. Second side. Right leg in, left leg out. First time, we'll come into the pose with a hand on the forearm. But first, stretch out that left side. Open up in the rib cage. Then forearm onto the thigh. Take the time to find the twist. That's actually one of the reasons I'm doing this twice, is so that you really get that sense of the spiral here. So the hip opening and the spiral together. That's one of the beauties of this pose. Keep the outer edge of your right foot rooting down. It's easy to forget about that because it's far away from our eyes. And then come back up. And come back down again. Your choice, either what we just did, thigh, arm on the thigh, or hand on the block. Find the shape of the pose first. And then check out your twist. I'm a little wobbly because I'm using a skinny block. This is why I like the thicker blocks for these kinds of things. All right. And inhale, come back up. And turn the left leg in. Walk your feet about hips distance apart. Put the block on down if you had it, and a few hip circles. Forward and around. And then reverse directions. From here we'll move into triangle pose, but before we do that I want to do a little bit more to wake up the outer hips to get some stability there. So go ahead and get one block and stand with your right foot on the block in mountain pose. So by that, the intention is to have your feet the same height. And then that requires a lot of strength in that gluteus medius. You can give it a little tap. Say, hello, gluteus medius, you are glorious. Please wake up a little bit more. And then release. And then come to the other side. Other side, other gluteus medius. Also not sinking, but holding on. Engagement. You may notice that one side is definitely easier to engage than another. That's not uncommon. So we got a little activity there. Let's go back to the first side and create a little bit more activity. Stand on the block now, and then take your right hip down so the left hip lifts up, and then bring it back so the feet are even with each other. We'll do that a few times, up and down. This is a great way to wake up the gluteus medius. It's great for preparing for walking, for strengthening, for having a bodacious buttocks, for all sorts of things, for your back. It's really good to have this muscle strong and have it has the ability to engage and release. Ooh, so after a while you might get a little fatigue. That's fine. And then release. Give it a little release by taking your ankle over the thigh, standing figure 4, and then second side. So stand with your left foot on the block, give it a little reminder, and then take your left hip up. I'm sorry, take the left hip down, to lift the right hip up. Left hip down to the right hip up. That other one's a little bit, that's just more advanced. It's just that sometimes it puts too much pressure in the hip joint going the other direction. So left hip down, right hip goes up. Okay, and then release. Again, the figure 4, ankle over thigh. Just to, after you've contracted the muscle, give it a little bit more elongation. And now, a little shimmy to get ready for triangle pose. So triangle pose was a pose that I didn't do for a few years because it used to cause me a lot of pain in my hips, and doing that exercise we just did helped a lot. And also the other practices we're doing today are good preparation. I was taught to go really deep into the pose, and I've learned that that's not the best thing. So I'm going to have you use 2 blocks. One is the base, one is the tower. And then you'll have the block to the pinky toe side of your right foot as you take your legs wide. Take your arms wide. Take up a lot of space. So spaciousness from here all the way out. Then turn your left leg in, your right leg out. And shift your hips, just to get that feeling of shifting the hips. Now as you shift the hips, really root down with the outer edge of your left foot. So that's going to help keep that engagement here so we're not clunking into it. Come back up, and let's do that again. Shift the hips, rooting down the outer edge, and then reach out with your right side. Take your left hand onto your sacrum. Keep that long reach on the right side as you hinge onto the block. From here, find the twist. So we're keeping a lot of space in the center of the body, in the front, the belly, and the lower back. Sometimes when you go further down into this pose, it gets a little cramped up there. We really want to experience this pose with that space. And then take your left arm on up. Breathe. Find a place for your head where it feels comfortable. It can be looking up if that feels in line with the spine. It might be forward, it might be looking down. It might change. As you see, I'm doing it different places. I also got to do a little fashion arrangement with my hair. I don't like having my braid hanging because that pulls on my neck a little. All right, and then to come up, root down with the back leg. Use that gluteus medius to help stabilize as you come up. And then bend your right knee, grab a hold of the block. The second block, go the other direction. Right leg in, left leg out. Build your support. Arms up. And first time, just to get a sense of how to keep this engaged, root down with that outer edge of the foot. Come back up. And then Trikonasana, right hand on the sacrum as you hinge down, spiraling, belly, spine open, making any adjustments necessary in your wardrobe or hair adornments. Breathe. Also, if you're in the extra curvy club, make any adjustments necessary, doing things differently on the different sides. So, for example, I don't twist as much on this side because that's where my upper spine is already twisting. Okay, so now we're going to come back up, again rooting down with that back leg, lift up, bend the front knee, grab the block, back over to the first side. Now if you want to go a little bit further, you can put one block out to the side and keep the other block. If you've got a wood block, put it down, foam block, take it with you. Arms on up, shift the hips, foot to hip as you hinge into Trikonasana. Maybe make little adjustments as you go. You know, yoga is constant movement to find stillness. Does that make sense? Okay, go ahead, bend the front knee. And some of you may have heard me talk about before, I think a lot of the reason we think yoga poses are supposed to be stagnant is because of still photography. I'm really curious what long ago, how much, I know the seated postures were still, but all these other things, there may have been more movement than we think. Find that outer edge of the foot, use that. Keep the length in the spine, spaciousness in your body. Nice place for the head and neck. And then root down with that back leg to come up, switch sides. And ground down with that back leg. Inhale, come up again. Turn your left leg forward. Now use a block if you want for wide-legged forward bend. You can stay on the block, or if it feels good, to let your spine release all the way down to the floor and your hands easily touch the floor. Don't need the block. Fold on down. If your palms touch the floor, bring them parallel to each other. If you have space to bend your elbows directly backward. Let your belly hollow, which is really a movement of the diaphragm. Let your exhalation be a little longer. So this is, right, a nice inversion. Let your exhalations be a little longer. And to come up, bend your knees a little bit. Bring your hands to your hips. Maybe bring your feet a little closer. And walk your feet together. Heel toe, heel toe. Mountain pose, feet a little bit apart. Okay, hips over heels. Spine long, jaw soft. And then let's bring a sense of flow. Start with your fingers. Get the fingers to flow a little, and then the wrists. Bring that into your elbows. Bring that into your shoulders. So the arms are flowing. That goes into the shoulder blades. Maybe a little side to side. And then bring your rib cage into it a little forward and back. Maybe a little circle. Just bring in flow. Bring the hips into it. After doing a lot of angular movements, I love to flow, and we've done a lot of things with different joints, and now you get to move them together with greater fluidity. And then flow your way onto the ground, and I'm going to grab my mat to lie on down. I don't really want to lie down on concrete where the chickens hang out. Okay, so flow your way down to the ground and have a block within reach. Once you're here, take the block. We'll do one more thing for the lower belly. Take the block, lift your pelvis off the floor, and take your sacrum above the block under the sacrum in such a way that your pelvis is tilted downward in the direction of your navel. And for many people, you'll feel a little release in your lower belly when you do this. If you have it further down your sacrum, it's be more of towards a different kind of pose, just more towards a bridge pose. This is not really a bridge pose. It's a release for the lower belly, for the iliacus. You can stay here or extend your legs one at a time. If that feels great, stay there. If it doesn't, go back to your knees bent. And be honest with yourself. If you feel tension at the top of the thigh, go back to the first position. Because that will allow you eventually to come into this position without discomfort. And breathe. Right, to release, roll your thighs towards each other. Bend one knee at a time. Come off the block. Just take a moment. Exhale. If you feel the inclination to bring your feet together and take your knees wide, do that. Otherwise, take your heels wider than your toes, bring your knees together. And then whatever position you are in, come back to having your feet parallel and get a block. Put the block between your knees. And we'll come into a gentle twist. Take your arms out to the side, maybe cactus, maybe straight. Lift your hips, shift them over to the left. And then take your knees over to the right just a little bit. And as you do that, lift your left foot off the floor so your knees stay in line with each other. That's going to inform your twist to really have it be a true twist in the belly. When you get to the point where you can't go any further, then bring your left foot back to meet your right. Let your whole spine spiral. And then let's come up by bringing the right knee on up, or initiating with the right knee. Second side, lift your hips, shift them to the right. Take them just a little to the left so the right foot comes off the ground. And then keep the knees parallel until you no longer can. Then let the right foot touch the left foot. And then inhale the left knee back up. And release the block. It's time for Shavasana. Get whatever you want. Extend your legs. Take your arms by your side. Close your eyes. Time to be with your breath. Watch your breath. Let the breath guide you to Shavasana, to relaxation. And then slowly and gently, without any additional movement quite yet, bring your awareness back to your body, back to your breath. Bring a little movement to your fingers. Bring a little movement to your toes. Reach a little through your arms, reach a little through your legs. And then bend one knee at a time. Roll over to your side. And make your way back up to sitting. Find the sit bones grounding, spine lengthening. Bring your palms together over your heart. And may the spaciousness we've created through the physical practice allow for spaciousness in all aspects of our lives so that we can experience a greater sense of comfort, ease, joy, and freedom. Namaste. All right, thanks for joining me. Hope you enjoyed the concept of having a sense of spaciousness here. It doesn't mean for it to be floppy, obviously. It's the sense of suppleness, so we have the strength and the suppleness, and that when we have spaciousness here, our organs can function better, digestion, all the other parts. If we're always squeezing, hardening, it can create some problems in the functioning there. So this is one opportunity to create that sense of spaciousness. You may have noticed that throughout the class, I did very little with the legs together. Like we did very little downward facing dog. We didn't do closed twists or poses where we're turning towards the front leg. It was all with the intention of creating openness in this area. To feel, to let things flow, and to move with a greater sense of freedom. So if you have any questions, of course, please let me know. Thanks for joining me. Mahalo. Aloha.